a project that we've all been waiting for. One of the things that I said during the campaign was that I would be meeting with local developers to help them and encourage them to get their projects moving so that we can get Norwalk moving in the right direction. I'm pleased to say that with the state representatives, state senators, state representatives, and others who have helped in that process, we're finally seeing now that we're going to get moving, and Mr. Olson is here today to address what his plans are over the next several months and how that's going to progress. I know there's been efforts in working with Mr. Olson in getting funding for the project, getting tax credits and getting CHIPA funds so that he could start moving forward. Everything is in place right now and the development is moving forward, and will be, as you can see, the remediation and the abatement is starting today, and that will take about 30 days according to Mr. Olson, and after that then the demolition takes place. So I would like to introduce first two people who don't need any introduction, Senator Bob Duff and Representative Bruce Morris, both who were instrumental in working together with me and with Ken in getting this to happen. So Senator Duff.
Thank you. Thanks, Mayor. So today's really an exciting day, and that's why we wanted to have everybody out today, which was to talk about the fact that the environmental remediation work is being done here at Phase 1 for Wall Street Place. I think it's going to be really important for residents of the city of Norwalk to see that work is commencing, and then eventually, I think in the next few weeks or so, we're going to see demolition begin as well. So this really partners with or corresponds with the announcement we made last week with the $1.8 million of funding from CLMP for Wall Street Theater. So that's moving together along with the money that $1.5 million that came from the state, and this as well with the state tax credits from CHIPA and Department of Housing, along with the $5 million for the parking garage as well. So this area is really going to start moving very quickly. I think residents are going to see a lot of progress being made here. I want to thank Ken Olson for continuing to stay on it. It has not been easy over the last few years during the economic downturn. Certainly Mayor Rilling, who has made it his mission to make sure that shovels are in the ground with all of our projects across this city, and that's why we're all standing here together. And of course Representative Morris, who has been an ardent supporter of this as well. So we want to thank everybody for that, but we want to tie in, again, what we saw last week with the Wall Street Theater and what's being done here. And, you know, again, people may not see what's happening inside this building, but important work is being done inside this building so that the walls can come down and we can get shovels in the ground for what is going to be really the rebirth of Wall Street for Norwalk.
Thank you, Mayor, and Senator Duff. And thank you certainly to Ken for hanging in here as long as you have. This is such an important beginning. Many people have been waiting for the revitalization in this area. And again, certainly the announcement last week in terms of the Globe Theater. Now this happening with, and we're expecting demolition and all these other pieces. It's been very critical to a lot of people that we increase our affordable housing, and really got to commend Ken. Can't commend him enough for a project that ultimately is going to have 40% of its units are going to be affordable. So this is a great start to something, and certain added enhanced pieces. The mayor has been diligent talking to all developers and making certain that we are moving projects forward. So kudos.
Yeah, Ken is here. Jackie Lightfield, the chairperson of my Norwalk Center Task Force, is also here. Ken, you say a few words?
Yeah, so we're very appreciative of the mayor and Senator Duff and the state representative for making a huge push to finalize the funding, which is all in place now, and we're very excited to actually be going and getting started. So this is the beginning of the process, and we'll go straight through for the next 2.5 years, and we'll be standing here with a completed building. So it's all very exciting for us, and we're looking forward to making a lot of progress and having a huge impact on the overall community.
As the chairperson of the Norwalk Task Force and the founder of Norwalk 2.0, we are excited that the revitalization of the Wall Street area is continuing, that more residents are going to be moving here, that we're going to have a live theater finally again, and it's just terrific. Ken has been a terrific supporter of the arts through the years. and we're looking forward to having more residents to enjoy our events and cultural nightlife here in Wall Street.
And I think it's important to note, again, this is a collaborative effort. It's not any single event that took place that really is getting this moving. It's the department heads that I've been working with, the redevelopment agency, the zoning commission. We've sat in meetings with Mr. Olson, and everybody kind of tried to get their arms around what needed to be done, and we got it done. And that's the bottom line. When people put their heads together and start working together, you can get things done. As Senator Duff mentioned, with the Wall Street Theater and the $1.8 million in tax credits, that is going to help them get moving. I've been meeting with head of the Harbor South developers. We're optimistic that that's going to get moving very soon, and we're working towards that end. Also working with General Growth Properties and trying to determine what it is that they want to put on that property and how we can make that the best possible development that we can. So this is a huge announcement in moving the Norwalk Center forward, along with Waypoint, POKO, and head of the Harbor South. You're going to see some tremendous things happening in Norwalk. You're going to see tremendous growth with good affordable housing, good mixed use, and it's going to be Norwalk on the move once again.
Let me also just put in a plug for the governor as well, because he has believed in this project and he has believed in the city of Norwalk, and he has helped again realize the vision we've had locally with helping to fund with the $5 million for the parking garage and with the tax credits that came through CHAPA and Department of Housing, and also with the $1.5 million that came for Wall Street Theater. So again, this has been a collaborative effort at all levels and the highest levels of our government. And I just want to make sure that we do publicly recognize and thank Governor Malloy, Lieutenant Governor Wyman, Commissioner Yvonne Klein, Housing Commissioner Yvonne Klein, and others who have been really helpful to us up at the state level to help realize the dream and have listened to what we have said, which is we know this is going to be a change for Norwalk and a game changer for this part of our city. And Chris Perone, of course, who's not here today. We want to certainly thank Representative Chris Perone. This is his House district as well.
I just want to also add that we want to thank the DECD and Kip Bergstrom for supporting the Right Here, Right Now events that have helped the economic development of this area as well.
Any questions?
When will the building come down?
45 days plus or minus it'll begin. It's a 3+ month demolition process. So it's not just this building, it's the building next door. And then they'll start digging a hole. We'll start digging a hole. It's about 3 months of demolition work.
We'll have further announcements as we go along.
Yes.
Anything special about the remediation standard, or is it asbestos? What is it entail?
Right, so there's a little bit of asbestos. There's an old oil tank. There's a small amount of lead paint. It's actually quite, the property's relatively clean. It was an office building, effectively, a bank, so there's nothing exciting going on in there, and we don't expect anything exciting in the ground. So yeah, we're looking forward to a fairly quick process on the remediation side. We're in the 10-day window of public notice, so they're doing the cleanup now, and then sometime on Monday or Tuesday of next week, they'll start you'll see the building being closed off, and the asbestos will start getting abated.
Do you know for sure that it's not a lot of asbestos in the ground, or is it just
There's
like
no asbestos in the ground
Okay.
at all. We have borings, soil tests for everything in the ground. There's nothing particularly exciting there, and what they call a historic fill, and not even that. And in the building, we have a lot of tests, a lot of environmental reports. So we're very confident about our knowledge about what's going on in there and about the process that's going to go forward. No surprises.
Is the work limited to the building or outside here, and how will it impact traffic here and on Wall Street?
Right, so for the abatement process, it's fairly contained. It's this building and the building next door, and other than equipment like this, the dumpsters and some other equipment that'll be around, there's not a lot that'll disturb what's going on in the parking lot. Once demolition starts, there'll be notices going out to everybody. The parking lot will be closed because we'll be knocking the building down and then starting to excavate for foundations and things like that. There'll be there'll be lots of public discourse between now and then.
And
We'll be
Wall
working
Street
with
traffic?
Ken to make sure there's pedestrian access throughout this.
Right.
Wall Street traffic, will that be?
Wall Street traffic won't be affected until, well, it'll be intermittently affected during the demolition
Right.
process because we need to protect the street, obviously, and the pedestrians and the traffic. And then once construction starts, that'll all change in a material way. There's a lot of work that has to go on Wall Street. There's a changing of the traffic pattern, there's changing of the parking, there's changing of the lining of the streets, there's the intersection of Belden, Wall, and West. There's a lot of work that goes on between Isaac and Belden and West, so that'll all take place while we're in construction.
And when will that construction begin?
Well, demolition is the beginning, if you will, and excavation. We'll go vertical. Well, again, we could go into a long discourse about this. It's about 9 months worth of excavation and foundations, and then vertical, plus or minus.
Yeah, I just also want to clarify, too, there were reports or perceptions that the project wouldn't start for 8 years.
Right.
And that is patently untrue, as evidenced by what's going on there today and the information that Ken has told you. So I think the entire 3 phases could take up to 8 years. But
And the key word there is could.
Could. But phase 1 is ready to go
Yeah,
now.
absolutely.
And that's the most, right now, actually, that's, kind of starting is always the most important
Mayor,
part.
you had said an agreed upon time frame. What will that be?
Well, that's what Ken was just talking about. We've got some chronological steps that are taking place, and we sat at the table and put down reasonable expectations as far as time frames go, and we are all in agreement that this is a reasonable process, reasonable amount of time to complete the various stages. But Ken, maybe you can explain what phase 1 is.
Sure. So, first of all, phase 1 is 100 units of housing, 101 units of housing, of which 60% is market rate housing and 40% is affordable. That was the state, the low-income housing tax credits was required for that. And then you have about 16,000 square feet of retail, of which 12 is really from Wall to the corner of Isaac, and the balance of it is small space that sits at the other end of Isaac. So that's and then there's a 220-car parking garage, of which 200 spaces are in an automated facility and 20 are conventional surface spaces that all sit inside of the building. So that's the overall development. That hasn't changed since we got through the approval process on the LDA. That's phase 1. And in every municipality, from the time we start today, if you will, through the time in which we're pouring foundations, is a very linear permitted process, and that's because the city wants to protect its citizens and make sure that we're building a building that's safe. So there's a fairly linear process on the permitting side. We're going to go through that again over the next 5 months, plus or minus, and then we'll be in construction.
And as Senator Duff mentioned, this is an announcement, but through the process, we'll be all sitting at the table and just being updated as to the progress being made, and if there's any obstacles or challenges that we need to confront and help get through so that we can continue the process moving forward. So we'll be doing that on a
That's the
regular
reason
basis.
why we're here today, because
Right.
we've been
What is
in constant communication.
the cost of phase 1, and when do you foresee it being completed? Occupancy?
It's about $45 million, $43.5 million, and again, it's about 30 months from today, plus or minus.
And that's completion.
That's completion, yes.
Could you elaborate on the meetings, or what you said got this?
Well, we sat
was
down
it with
with-
the governor? Was it in Hartford here?
No, most of us sat at the table here in Norwalk, and and not only that, but telephone calls. Senator Duff can elaborate a little bit more, perhaps Representative Morris can as well. But we sat at the table with Redevelopment, Corporation Council, Zoning Commission, people from the Common Council, and we sat down with Mr. Olson and his representatives, and we sat down and we actually discussed what needed to happen. We wrote letters to encourage that there be some state funding available through tax credits and through CHAPA funding, as Senator Duff mentioned, and made telephone calls. So it's kind of just not one particular meeting or thing, but just a kind of meeting on a regular basis, just to make sure that we can get this project moving, identifying the obstacles, and then figuring out what we needed to do to overcome them.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say that Ken and I have been in contact since 2000.
Yeah, years. So
We're
Bob has been a
right.
huge champion the senator has been a huge champion of the project. And since the mayor came aboard also, and Representative Morris, and of course, Norwalk 2.0 and Jackie, have been huge supporters of the project. The last 7 months, plus or minus, have been a very collaborative period of time for us, which is great, because this is a public-private partnership, and we can't do what we do without the city and the state's help, and the governor's been great on that level as well. We needed to get to a point where the LDA is current, and then we can go forward, and that's where we are. Well, that's what we're working towards.